Welcome, everyone. My name is Nancy Schwartz, and I am founder of Envision Healthy Retirement, and you are listening to our podcast, The Art of Healthy Retirement. And for those of you who don't know, our podcast has two goals. One, to support business experts who are transforming from a career to healthy retirement, and the other is to support those business experts who have retired. And this is hosted on my YouTube channel under my name, and no interview is the same. And I focus on amazing guests such as Marie Scott, who we have today. I'm so excited to share her with you and how they are living now, or if they are transitioning to be living their ideal retirement. And this is a joy of discussion, and we are disrupting the way you think about healthy retirement in real time. And each podcast, as I've shared with Marie, is educational in content and offers inspiration to others, showcasing our guests living life on their own terms. So Marie is a corporate executive of 3, almost 4 decades with a technology company. She is founder of her own company. She is a best-selling author, speaker, and I really look to her as a pioneer in her field. She's also a functional medicine health coach and has written really journaling and then finally delivering books to show the world her journey. And out of that, she created her company to help those who have lost partners. And she does it from the point of view of real life experiences and funny stories and adventures, and how she turned such a tragic event into how she healed her mind, body, and spirit after her partner's passing. So we are delighted to have Marie, and Marie and I know each other from Sachin Patel's functional medicine group that we attend, and I've been always so inspired by Marie and her journey. So Marie, please introduce yourself. Tell us how you got from point A of that amazing technology, go in multi-cities, 3 cities at least or more a week, where you were, to your place now where you're preparing for a retreat in Maine for some clients.
Yes, Nancy, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
So
About 5 years ago, 5 years and 3 months ago, the love of my life, retired Captain William David Scott, passed away in my arms. And he died of esophageal cancer. And it was the most devastating moment of my life. It shattered everything from my present to what was going to happen to me in the future. The first 2 months were spent in absolute shock. Like, how could this possibly have happened? And disbelief that every single thing was different, from how I shopped, how I ate, how I approached the world, and I couldn't travel anymore because I was a total the widow fog had just totally consumed me. I would be booking travel to the wrong cities on the wrong dates, and from a high-powered career and a very stressful career in technology, traveling the world, and to be reduced to a babbling puddle of tears overnight, it seemed, was an impetus for me to pull the plug and say, it's time for me to retire from Oracle. And it was something that Dave and I worked towards anyway. But when you're doing this by yourself, it's like nobody to talk to. Like, is this the right time? Is this the right month? He basically did all of the finances for us, managed all of our retirement planning. And so I was totally lost. And so finally I stepped up. I said, I'm going to retire. And at the same time, I wanted to learn more about the link between food and cancer, also food and Alzheimer's, because my mom died of Alzheimer's the same year. So,
goodness.
I
Mm.
got this email from Sachin, August 19th, 2019. I'll never forget it. And it said, hey, why don't you come be a health coach? Explore the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. And I stopped and said, wow, this would be amazing. And I thought I was just going back to school, learn about food and nutrition, but it turned into a total health transformation and life transformation for me. So basically, by changing my food preferences, I managed to lose 30 pounds, and I am off all prescription meds. And I was on everything you can think of. Pre-diabetic. I was on antidepressants because that's the first thing they give a widow. I was on metformin, high blood pressure pills, losartan, I mentioned metformin, statins. I was on every med that you can think of as you get over 60.
Mm-hmm.
And it was even HRT, estradiol. I'll never forget that one. And I kept thinking to myself, why am I on all these prescription meds? And when they put you on something, it's like there's no exit strategy. Here, take this pill. For how long? Oh, forever.
Right.
And there's
Forever
no
drugs.
exit
Yeah.
strategy. Oh my goodness. So I learned a lot about nutrition through Living Proof Institute and becoming a certified functional medicine health coach. And it has literally transformed my life. This was 4.5 years ago. And I have managed to stay off all prescription meds. My energy's through the roof. I'm 66 years old now. I'm excited. I'm writing 2 more books. I'm holding the retreat next month here in Maine, another one in Florida, and coaching individual clients. Also, I have a course as well that I have been promoting, the 7 Steps to Healing After Loss. So all of this because I changed my food preferences.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to first congratulate you that you really, I think the audience needs to understand what a transformation this is. And you briefly touched upon it in the beginning, that it truly is a shock, right? And so when we think about the process, you said it was like, I couldn't believe this. I could not believe this. And so it's dealing with, is this true? Is this really happening to me? Yeah. And then this situation of grief. And for everybody, grief has different pathways. I think many people deal with grief in a variety. So defining, how am I dealing with grief? And we know, you and I know, that our health can be very affected by how we manage our grief, and navigating not only the person who is deceased and the thousands of things. People have no idea how many thousands of things there are, let alone the paperwork and 1,000 other things that are constantly barraging you. But it's also about learning how to elevate and navigate yourself in an identity change, really, because as you said, all the lifestyles that you built with your partner are now something else with you, right? Yeah. And I think that the statistics are staggering. And Maria, I know you can add into this because you're the expert, but in my simple analysis, when I started to speak with people, it was very interesting that the partner often suffers more, that we see a likelihood of that partner dying very quickly after. So navigating, so my point in discussing this and then having Marie here is to share how important it is to get help, right? And we talk about self-care and we talk about food, which is in that self-care bucket, right? To really elevate your lifestyles to support you now, right? So I think that that's very important. What about the statistics? Can you speak about them that I was finding that are kind of scary?
Yeah, so in the US and Canada alone, there's 18.5 million widows and widowers, and 85% of those are women.
Right.
And there's 2 types of women in my in my sphere, women that I've met, widows that I've met. There's the widows that just want to sit down and just wait to die because they have nothing left. And there's another group of widows that start to look around after about a year, year and a half and say, I've still got life to live. I've still got love to give. How do I do that? How do I find the roadmap to want to embrace life again? And so that is the group that I'm here to help with the grief journey as well as their health journey. So the statistic. So here's another funny statistic: 85% of widows and widowers are women. And that's for a number of reasons. Women live longer than men. Men usually remarry immediately. That takes them off the widow rolls, usually within 3 to 6 months. Women go out and buy a security system first. The statistics of men on dating sites, 81% of dating sites are men. So you've got 85% widows in the widowed community, and yet you've got on the dating sites 85% men. Wow. So that should scare you, if nothing else. So there's also a frightening statistic of usually within a year of a partner's death, if you choose not to embrace life again, then death can be a factor in your life as well. There's a staggering statistics of the number of women who die after their spouse dies.
Yeah, those were the statistics that I found, that when I was doing my research, that yes, the impact is huge. Yeah. And that's I looked globally. I looked around the world, US statistics plus around the world. There seems to be a lot of information. The Danish seems to have been doing a lot of studies as well. And I also think that I had an interesting conversation, Marie, with a gentleman who was 82, and very unfortunately, his wife had a neurological disease, and it progressed forward, and then she had a stroke, and then blah, 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 and then now we have dementia. But what this study was telling me, and I'm giving you a real life example, is that those who are waiting for their partner to die, which is extremely heartbreaking, I was so heartbroken by this, can really take a toll on their health. So it's sort of the opposite situation, and also that loneliness factor, because that partner who is still here, but not, right? So can you speak about that a little bit? I'm sure you have a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, so my dad passed in 2010, and mom passed in 2018, but we really lost mom when dad died. Because the dementia just basically took over her mind. It was vascular dementia. So I'm surprised that mom lasted that long. She passed in 2018, and she, to the day she died, still thought dad was alive, and still thought, so Alzheimer's is a horrific ordeal for the caregivers.
Yes.
Not so much the patient, because they've just withdrawn into themselves, but the caregivers and having to, take care of that is pretty dramatic. We used to try to distract mom when she'd go off on a tangent, but there are other widows that I've talked to and have known that basically just stopped taking care of themselves and just are waiting to die. And it's like, it's just me. I'm not going to eat tonight. It's just me. I'll have popcorn. So they stop taking care of themselves. And once you do that, you've lost the will to live. And the mind is an incredible power. The most important conversation you have with yourself is in the morning. The most important conversation is with yourself, how you want to embrace life again. And Dave was more concerned about how I was going to move forward rather than he was about his own demise. And I think many partners are like that. They want you to be happy again. They don't want you to shrivel and wait to die. But a lot of partners don't take it that way. They just say,
Yeah.
no, that's it. I've had the best, the hell with the rest. So what a world this has opened up in front of me. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah, you touch upon some really important points. One, the conversations with yourself. So how you treat yourself and what are the words? And in fact, Sachin in his coaching today talked about how do we talk to ourselves
Yes.
in really, in this particular situation, in a really compassionate and kindness and really nurturing and patient way, but also being able to support, as you said, through nutrition. We know
Yes.
that many people decline rapidly because they refuse to eat. It's not not even that they're going to have popcorn; they just refuse to eat. But also, I know you practice this as well. The combination of sleeping very poorly. So talk about that a little bit, and then talk about this piece of exercise, which we know is one of the biggest drivers for longevity, let alone in the process that you're dealing with.
Yes. So in the 7 steps to healing, it's funny, you just touched on food as medicine is the number one in my mind. And the second is improve sleep. And when your partner dies, I mean, 30 years sleeping with this larger than life presence, 30 years, and all of a sudden there's this great void. And you sleep a third of your life, right? And so many sleepless nights. You go through things in your head like, do I get a big body pillow? Do I sleep on his side? Do I stay on my side? Do I buy a new bed? It's just all this stuff going through your mind prevents you from getting a good night's sleep. If you don't eat well and you don't sleep well, you're not going to feel good. If you don't feel good, you're not going to want to embrace life again. So sleep is incredibly important. And I wear an Oura ring, and it's been 4 years now since I've worn this, and it tracks my sleep every single night. And my sleep scores are in the 90s. So
congratulations. Got a lot of crowns coming into you. Yay.
Oh my goodness. So I also had a statistic, it gives you year over year, and I've walked like 1 million steps. So that was pretty cool. A lot of crowns. So this little wearable device, I can't stress high enough, because it tells you, I had a doctor who said, what you can measure, you can fix. And it tells you all kind of statistics. That's, how are you sleeping? How's your temperature? How's your activity levels? What's your restorative time? So I swear by my Oura ring. But sleep is very, very important. I did a webinar last month on sleep. And came up with, the top 10 ways that you can get better sleep. The things we know about, like turn off your electronics, an hour or 2 hours before bed, blackout rooms. I've got blackout curtains. The sun comes up here in Maine at 4:45 in the morning.
Ooh.
That's really early. And it's 2 hours later in Florida. We split our time. So it's a dramatic difference. But being able to get up at sunrise, whether it's Florida or here, but go to bed at the same time every night has been one of the top tips that's kept me sleeping really well. The other thing is joyful movement. And I try to move 5 minutes every hour. And sitting on your butt is the worst thing you can do. And I get a little trigger from my little kick from my ring, time to stretch your legs. And whether it's gardening or yoga, I love yoga. I work out with a trainer on a Zoom call twice a week. I have stretching in my house or a TRX machine. No matter what you do, doesn't have to cost money, but you have to move. You have to move, because that's going to also help your energy. And I'm living proof that it works. It really works. So, whether it's walking or joining a gym, it doesn't matter. Just move 5 minutes an hour.
Yeah, I think that's so important, because oftentimes when we are in this situation, we are depressed and therefore we don't want to move, right? We're feeling so sad. But, I'm sure, Marie, you've read Dr. Atia's book, Outlive, and he really says the biggest driver to longevity, which you have found the secrets, certainly is movement and continuous movement, and also you've mentioned so many different types of movement, so different type. It's not repetitive motion, but you're building up muscle. You are stretching, I heard. You are walking. You are doing day-to-day things, but you're also with your clients. I heard that perhaps you'll be outside enjoying the beautiful parks. That's beautiful in nature. You know, there's so many ways to change it up that really to increase over time your VO2 max, and also to have those contiguous, as an example, walking or your yoga, where you're really in zone 2, really supports that ability to be strong. And I think that's, and you know, I know as women, we've always been told, you know, oh, you're not going to be in the gym or whatever, but really building strength.
Yes.
Marie and I are the same age. So for me, it's really about, I want to be strong to live,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I think I think you bring up such great points that, and that all falls under the bucket of self-care, right? Because if we can't have that type of self-care, how the heck are we going to live out in the real world, right? How are we going to attack this beautiful world that's out there?
And also, you know, I think about where we live in outside of Acadia National Park, and just the ability to go hiking and not worry about falling. And so when I work out with my trainer, we lift heavy things and we work on balance.
Yes.
And because those are the two things that are most important to women over 60, strength and balance. And with those two things, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, even the activities of daily life, being able to hoist a 40-pound bag over your head and into the overhead bin is so key. You know, you and I have traveled for our work for many years, and you know, that's pretty important. You're not always going to have a man behind you to help you with your bag.
Exactly.
So we've got to do it ourselves.
And it's also that sustained energy. Sorry, it's a sustained energy throughout the day to travel, to do these things, right?
Yes, yes. And to feel 29 again. I mean, you know, we remarried to the second great love of my life, and we both feel like we're 29 again. It's amazing. It's really cool.
That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. I mean, it's just wonderful. And then you talk about purpose, right? So tell us a little bit about that, because I know that can be a huge shift in and around retirement, but it also can be a huge shift in terms of where you want to make your next impact. From my side of the street, but tell me about from your side of the street.
So interesting, Nancy. I talk about discovering new purpose as the last step in my 7 steps to healing.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's incredible. But if you don't have new purpose, then you're alone. You know, the another statistic is if your spouse dies, there's a good chance within a year you will pass as well, of loneliness and grief. It's a very real statistic. But discovering new purpose brought a smile to my face when I finished writing my first book and got it published. It was just, I remember, you know, throwing open the balcony doors in Florida and yelling out to the Sarasota Bay, "Dave, we did it! We wrote a book!" And it just brought me so much joy. It was a true labor of love, and it started out as a journal. And I was writing on airplane napkins and you know, all 4 corners of the napkin, and writing in a journal, notepads, prolific notepads everywhere. And so just by having that new purpose in my life helped me heal my mind, my body, my spirit. Just having new purpose to move forward really gave me joy again. And the other thing that it did is it helped me, you know, working for 29 years in technology defined you as a person. And all of a sudden, you don't have that anymore. And then COVID hit. So total isolation. you're without your identity that you've created. It was an amazing career. And
Yeah.
it's like, how many people after they retire don't live for the first year?
In my research, I would say that we all know somebody who has
Yeah.
had that situation, unfortunately. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They have no new purpose.
Right.
There's kind of golf rounds, golf days you can golf, or so many dinners you can go out with, and trips you can take. So it's a very real statistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that purpose is so, and I also like to frame it for clients that it's not static. Purpose isn't static, that you're constantly evolving, or how I look at it is that we're constantly evolving our purpose, because it's alive. We are alive. So I don't know how you feel about that, but and your clients, but I would think, well, you tell me.
Yeah, so it's really been fun. It's really been fun. I speak at a number of hospice centers in Florida and
Mm,
here in Maine. And it's been fun when I engage a group like that, and I've got my workbooks, and I tell them, what's an old hobby that you had?
mhm,
What can you revive? What can you, bring to life again? And so I'll never forget, I was speaking in Tampa, and there's about 50 women and men in the group, and we're going through the 7 steps. And this woman sitting in the front row grabbed the microphone out of my hand and started belting out the national anthem. And it was beautiful. She had this big, powerful voice. She goes, "I'm going to get back into singing." And so that was
wow,
so great. And it really got people thinking. Another widow said, "I'm going to get back into art. I used to love painting." And then
mhm,
another one said, "Pottery. I used to love doing pottery and all kind of crafts." And so it was amazing seeing the transformation in that room, just by saying, how can you find new purpose? Whether
mhm.
it's taking a course, reinventing your life like I did, writing books and speaking and teaching. There's just so many ways to find new purpose. Take a gardening class. I've taken a cooking class to learn more about French cooking, and it's just been amazing as a lifelong learner. I love to say, you can, if you live in South Carolina, you can take college courses for free if you're over 65. So it's a great
Wow.
little perk. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that level of curiosity, Marie, that I can feel through the
Yes.
Zoom screen from you that is just so powerful, and that it really serves us as we continue and developing our chronological age going forward.
Yes.
But I think that it also supports our biological age going
Yes.
backwards, right?
Going backwards.
We are just very curious about things. So I know this is like the millionth podcast you've done today, and you've got writing
No,
on
just
the
a second.
agenda. And dinner is being served in this French beautiful way, very fancy. But tell me, if you were to leave us with some great thoughts from Marie Scott, what words of encouragement could you offer people who are potentially at the beginning of this journey, where you were? And then we'll certainly talk about how we can find you and where we can connect and all of that as well.
Yes. So I have created the roadmap to help widows and widowers get from grief and pain to happy and healthy, focusing on the healthy and also the happy. One of
Mm-hmm.
my 7 steps is increase laughter. And you know what laughter does. It increases the endorphins and all those feel-good chemicals. And so that's one of the key steps in my 7 steps. But I have the roadmap. Can be the guide, and I have the community as well for widows and widowers to want to embrace life again and raise their head and see the light, and live life for however many years we have left. I mean, if you're healthy, we could conceivably have 40 more years left.
Exactly. Well, this is
Longevity
the
runs in my
thing.
family.
Yes, this is the thing that people, I was speaking last night, and people I was encouraging them to think, we always think in retirement, well, we'll think, usually people are coached the next year. And I'm like, the next year? No, 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 no. Not 5 years, not 10 years, 30 or 40 more years.
Yes,
And
yes.
people were like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, here we go. I'm going to tell you all about it. Right. So yes, but it's long-term, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
contiguous path, and that's for your community too, as well. It's so important. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Marie, where can we find you? What is the best place where we can find all your courses and your books? And how do
Yeah.
people get in contact with you so they can join your community and
Yes.
get support?
So one place where everything lives, and I worked with a coach that told me, go get all your real estate. So all my social media real estate is Marie Scott Wellness. So my Facebook page is a great way to start, mariescottwellness.com. And you can click a link there to join my Facebook community. And that Facebook community is called Happy and Healthy After Widowhood. And we're up to about 420 members now. And it's a
Excellent.
verified, vetted group. And we share things in there. I'll have webinars in there. I'll go live in that group, share recipes. You know, how do you cook for one? And share funny stories. Also share stories about grief, because it's not always fun and games. I mean, even today, 5.5 years later, it'll just grab me by the neck and wrestle me down, and the emotions, you just get overcome with emotion. But I don't ever resist it. I just let it come out. And you know, it's a tribute to the 30 years I spent with Dave, and it's a tribute to being with Jeff as well, because he's totally supportive, totally embraces, you know, whatever I might be going through. And yeah, so it's important if you're with someone after you are widowed, that they embrace the past life that you had, because it doesn't go away.
Right, right. I think you are so fortunate. And I'm sure you're grateful every day of this new partner. But also, and I remember you speaking about that, and I just thought, man, what a guy. This is a great, good for Marie. She found somebody fabulous. So
Yeah.
that's so great. What about your website? How do we find it? Because there's a lot of stuff on your website too.
There is, yep. It's mariescottwellness.com.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
And
great.
you'll see information. The main retreat is sold out, and I'm excited
Oh,
about it.
congratulations.
Yes. And the next retreat is at the first week in December in Punta Gorda. And it's at this healing retreat called the Solstice. And we'll do yoga every morning. We'll do hiking. We'll tell stories around the campfire at night, tour around Punta Gorda with a 2-day optional trip to go shopping in Sarasota. So I'm excited about that. First week in December. And also you can download the first chapter of my book on my website for free. So that's pretty neat. I'm pretty happy about that accomplishment of finishing that book that started as a journal.
Now, Marie, well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom and your knowledge of this. Is a really special category of people that you are clearly helping so much and really speaking about it. That's what I'm so in admiration, because it is a difficult topic. And as you point out, it's not all roses, but somehow together, as you are leading, I feel that you're such a pioneer in this field, that you're leading people to see that there is a transformation, that there is another side to keep moving forward. So I thank you so much for your time. And I
Thank you, Nancy.
appreciate you. And I hope to meet you live. Marie and I talk a lot on Zoom, but live, not yet, but we'll get there. We'll get
soon.
there.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. And thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you. And thank you, Marie Scott.